Am I the asshole for dumping my girlfriend after she sold my car and tools to pay for her brother's wedding? Hey, before we move on to the video, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Thanks. I don't have a fancy job. I don't wear suits or sit in meetings talking about synergy or stock options. I fix cars. That's what I do. I'm a mechanic and proud of it. I spent years working for other people, saving every extra dollar until I had enough to turn my garage into a proper mobile mechanic setup. It's not flashy, but I make a decent living, and I like the independence. My garage isn't just a workspace. It's where I keep my tools, most of which I've had since I was 18, and my car, the '68 Mustang I rebuilt with my dad before he passed away. That car is the only thing I have left of him. We spent hundreds of hours in that garage, side by side, sleeves rolled up, arguing over the best way to torque a bolt or whether the blue paint would ever look right. It's not perfect, but it runs like a dream. I haven't driven it much lately, but that doesn't mean it's just sitting there collecting dust. It's a memory, a piece of my history. And frankly, after the hell I went through fixing it, it's mine. Vanessa moved in with me about 8 months ago. We'd been dating for 3 years before that. She worked part-time at a local florist and picked up hours here and there at an event planning place. She's bubbly, smart, outgoing, the kind of person who makes friends instantly. At first, I liked how different we were. I'm more of a quiet guy. She lit up every room we entered, and I liked watching her do it. Things started to shift after she moved in. Nothing dramatic at first, just little things. She'd sigh when she had to step over one of my toolboxes to get into the laundry room, or make passive comments like, "You should really do something about the grease smell in here," or "That car takes up so much space for something you never use." I shrugged it off. She wasn't used to living with someone who worked with their hands. I figured she'd adjust. Then came the remarks from her family. Vanessa's brother Kyle was getting married soon. He's a loud, braggy type who always seems to be working on some big opportunity that never quite materializes. He bounced between jobs every few months and always had a new excuse for why nothing worked out. Vanessa adored him, though. Said he had a vision. I always thought he was full of crap. The first time I met her parents, they walked into my garage like they were touring a barnyard. Her mom wrinkled her nose and asked if I ever thought about moving into something more stable, while her dad said something like, "You know, back in the day, this was just a hobby for guys who didn't finish college." Vanessa laughed and tried to play it off like they were joking, but the message landed. They thought I was beneath her. She didn't defend me either. Not once. She just smiled that tight, awkward smile and changed the subject. When I brought it up later, she said, "You're reading too much into it." That's just how they are. They didn't mean anything by it. They always meant something by it. Still, I didn't want to rock the boat. I loved her. I thought maybe, if I just kept my head down and worked harder, they'd come around. Maybe they'd see that I wasn't just some grease-stained loser. I was building something. The wedding plans for Kyle got more extravagant by the day. A vineyard ceremony. A designer suit. A 12-piece band. Vanessa started spending more time with her family, going over cake tastings and color schemes, while I stayed back and picked up extra jobs to cover the bills. We were still splitting things evenly, but it felt like she had stopped being part of the partnership. She stopped asking how my day went. When I'd bring in a transmission repair that took me all afternoon, she barely looked up from her phone. Then, out of nowhere, she asked me what I thought the Mustang might be worth. I blinked. "What?" "The car," she said. "The blue one. The old one. Do you know what it'd sell for?" "I'm not selling it," I said flatly. She shrugged. "I didn't say you were. I was just curious. I mean, it just sits there. It's not for sale, Vanessa. Ever." She laughed like I was being dramatic and changed the subject. But I didn't forget that question. Not the way she asked it. Not the timing. A few days later, she started making these weird comments about sacrifice. Stuff like, "People do big things for the ones they love," or "You'd want to help your family if they needed you, right?" I asked her what she was getting at, and she waved it off, said she was just talking about Kyle and how hard he was working to give his fiancée the wedding she dreamed of. It all made me uneasy. I started double-checking the locks on the garage at night. I moved a few of my more expensive tools into a back closet and locked them up. And yet, I still didn't see it coming. Not even close. It was a Friday afternoon when everything collapsed. I'd spent the whole day in the next town over, working on a guy's F-150 that had blown its radiator. It was supposed to be a 2-hour job, but one thing led to another, and I didn't end up getting home until after 7. I was bone tired, hands still smelling like coolant, and all I wanted was a shower and a beer. But when I pulled into the driveway, something felt off. The garage door was shut, which was weird. I always left it open if I knew I'd be working the next day, easier access. I hit the opener on my keychain and watched as the door lifted, slow and creaking. And then I just stood there, staring. The Mustang was gone. So were the tool cabinets along the back wall. All of them. My rolling chest, my air compressor, the snap-on boxes I'd saved 5 years to buy gone. The racks were stripped clean, like someone had vacuumed the entire place out. I thought I was having a stroke. I stood there, blinking, trying to convince myself I'd parked the car somewhere else. That maybe I'd loaned it to someone. That I was misremembering. I wasn't. I practically sprinted into the house. Vanessa was on the couch, curled up in a blanket, scrolling on her phone like nothing had happened. "Where's the car?" I asked. She didn't look up right away. "Hey, babe, you're back late." "Vanessa," I said again, louder. "Where's my car?" She blinked, then sat up slowly like I was being dramatic. "Oh, right. That," she said. "That." She stood and walked toward me like she was bracing for an overreaction. "Okay, so don't freak out," she began. "Vanessa," I said through my teeth. "Where is my car?" I sold it. The words didn't make sense at first, like she was speaking a different language. I stared at her, mouth open, heartbeat pounding in my ears. "You what?" "I sold it," she repeated, arms crossed like I was the one being unreasonable. "And some of the tools. Just the ones you weren't using. You said yourself you haven't touched the Mustang in months." "You sold my father's car?" I asked, barely above a whisper. "Without even telling me?" She flinched slightly at the tone, but then just rolled her eyes. "Darren, it's just a car. And some tools. It's not like I stole your kidney." I think I stopped breathing. "I can't believe this," I said. "Where is it? Who did you sell it to?" "It's already gone. Kyle had a friend who knew someone. We needed the money now, Darren. The deposit deadline for the venue was today." He was short. "We had to make a move." I snapped. "We had to make a move?" I wasn't part of any of this. She gave me a condescending look. "You're being incredibly selfish right now. My brother is getting married. This is the biggest day of his life. I thought you'd be proud to help make it happen." I was speechless. My hands were shaking. "You sold my tools," I said slowly. "How the hell do you think I'm supposed to work? You can replace them. Not all at once, obviously, but over time. Kyle's already promised he'll help you buy new ones once things settle down. He said he's going to give you a cut of the cash from the wedding gifts. You'll be fine." "A cut? Of the wedding gifts?" I could barely form the words. "Do you hear yourself?" She frowned. "Look, you're being really dramatic about this. You act like I took your dog out back and shot it. I'm sorry I didn't talk to you first, but it needed to happen fast. And honestly, that car's been sitting there for years. You keep saying you're going to finish fixing it up, but you never do. It was time to let it go." I think I laughed. A dry, humorless, bitter thing that startled even me. "Vanessa," I said, voice shaking, "that car is the only thing I have left of my dad. And you just sold it. Like it was nothing. Like it was junk in a garage." She crossed her arms tighter. "I didn't know it meant that much. You never said anything. You never asked." She looked away, jaw clenched. "Well, it's done. You can't undo it now. And it's not like I blew the money on purses or something. I did it for my family. For someone I love." That sentence hit me like a sucker punch. Not for us. Not for me. For her family. Someone she loved. "And what about me?" I asked quietly. "What the hell am I to you, Vanessa?" She didn't answer. I turned and walked out of the house before I said something I couldn't take back. My garage looked like a crime scene. The concrete was stained with outlines where the cabinets used to be. The shelves were bare. My father's car gone. Just gone. I called the police that night. They came, took a statement, and then told me it'd be a civil matter unless I had proof that she didn't have joint ownership of the items. Since she'd been living with me for 8 months and the car was registered under the same address, it got messy. They said I'd probably have to take it to small claims court. They left. I sat in my empty garage until sunrise. I didn't sleep. I didn't even move. I just stared at the place where my life used to be. By the next morning, I still hadn't slept. My mind kept spinning in circles. Every time I started to think maybe this wasn't as bad as it seemed, I'd picture my dad's Mustang. The two of us lying on our backs under the frame, covered in sweat and grime, arguing over the engine timing. I'd remember handing him the wrench while he cracked a dumb joke about how this car's got more personality than half the people I know. And now it was gone. And not just gone, sold. Without my permission. By someone I trusted. Around 9 a.m., I drove to Vanessa's parents' house. Kyle lived in the basement apartment out back. I didn't call ahead. I wanted answers. Vanessa wasn't there. Her car was gone. Her mom answered the door, wearing a bathrobe and sipping coffee like it was just another beautiful Saturday morning. "Oh, Darren." She raised her eyebrows, mildly annoyed. "Did you guys have a fight?" "I need to speak with Kyle," I said. Her expression barely shifted. She didn't even ask what was going on. "He's out back," she said, and stepped aside. I didn't wait for an invitation. Kyle was in the garage behind the house, smoking and watching something on his phone. He looked up when I stepped in and smirked like we were old buddies catching up. "Hey, Darren. Man, you're up early." I didn't say anything, just stared at him. He put his phone down. "What? You bought my car." His smile didn't even twitch. "Technically, my friend Lucas bought it. I just connected the dots." "Where is it?" I asked. He shrugged. "Dunno. Lucas flipped it to some collector. He's got a guy in California, I think." "What?" I clenched my jaw. That car was never for sale. "Well, Vanessa said it was her idea. Said you were cool with it. That you'd been meaning to get rid of it anyway." I stepped forward, eyes locked on his. "That car belonged to my father. He died before we could finish it. And you sold it off like it was some rusted lawnmower." Kyle held his hands up mockingly. "Whoa. Chill, man. It's just a car. Don't get all sentimental. You didn't even drive it." "You had no right," I said, barely keeping my voice steady. "None of you did." He gave me that smug little grin I'd seen 100 times before. "Look, I get that you're mad, but it was for a good cause. This wedding's a big deal. And Vanessa said you were always talking about helping family. So she helped." I could feel my pulse in my temples. "You used me," I said. "You used my property, my tools, and my work to throw yourself a party. You didn't even ask." He scoffed. "Dude, don't be so dramatic. You make money fixing beaters in a garage. You'll bounce back." That was the last thing I needed to hear. I turned and left before I did something I'd regret. Back home, Vanessa was waiting for me. She'd clearly already talked to her family because she jumped straight into damage control. "Okay," she started the moment I stepped through the door. "I understand now that I should have asked you first. I get that. But what's done is done, Darren. We can't go back. So the question is, what now? Are you going to hold this over my head forever?" I stared at her. "Are you serious?" "I'm just trying to move forward," she said. "You're acting like I murdered someone. It was a car. You're still here. We're still together. You still have a job." "No," I interrupted. "I don't. Not really. You sold half the equipment I need to do my work. My compressor, my diagnostic tools, the torque wrenches, the socket sets. I can't even do a basic repair job without all that." She hesitated. "Well, maybe you can borrow some for now? Or rent. I mean, if you're smart about it." I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Vanessa, I need you to leave." She froze. "What?" "I need you to pack your stuff and go. Today." "You're not serious," she said, laughing nervously. "I'm very serious." Her smile vanished. "You're kicking me out? After everything I did for my family?" "Exactly. You did it for them. Not for us. Not for me. You didn't just sell some junk from the garage. You sold my ability to work. My stability. The last real thing I had from my dad. And now you expect me to forgive you and pretend like it was just a misunderstanding." She looked stunned, hurt, then angry. "Fine," she snapped. "If that's how you're going to be. You think I don't have other places to go? Great," I said. "Go there." She packed in silence. No tears. No apologies. Just icy resentment. I watched her carry the last box to her car. She didn't even say goodbye. Just slammed the door and peeled out of the driveway like I'd wronged her. Then I went back into the garage and sat on the cold concrete floor, staring at the empty space where my car used to be. The silence was deafening. I was 30 years old, broke, and my business had been gutted from the inside by the person I trusted most. I had no car, no tools, no income. But for the first time in days, I wasn't angry. I was just empty. The Monday after Vanessa left, I tried to go back to work. I had 2 appointments lined up that week. One was a guy I'd helped before, a regular. His check engine light had come on, and he didn't want to take it to a dealership. The other was a young couple whose car wouldn't start. Easy money under normal circumstances. But I couldn't take either job. I didn't have the OBD scanner for the diagnostic, and I couldn't even pop the starter out of the other car without the tools Vanessa sold. I had borrowed what I could from a buddy who worked at a tire shop, but it wasn't enough. It was like trying to do heart surgery with a plastic fork. I canceled both appointments, apologized, lost them both as clients. By Friday, I had to face the reality my business was dead in the water. I couldn't afford to replace everything. The tools that were gone had taken me over a decade to collect. Some were specialty items I'd ordered from overseas. Others were heirlooms. One belonged to my grandfather, a battered, silver torque wrench he'd used back when mechanics actually rebuilt carburetors. That one hurt the most. I checked pawn shops, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. I filed police reports just to cover my bases, but I already knew how it would go. Most of what Vanessa sold had been offloaded quickly and for cash. No receipts, no paper trail. And Kyle? I tried calling him twice. Left voicemails. Nothing. I even drove back to Vanessa's parents' house one more time. Her mom opened the door, didn't even bother hiding her disdain. "We don't want drama, Darren," she said. "I just want to know where the tools went," I said. "Who Kyle sold them to?" She shook her head. "It's over. You're just going to have to accept that. Life's not always fair. And maybe next time, you won't leave your assets lying around unprotected." That last sentence stuck with me for weeks. I started spiraling. With no income, I had to put everything on my credit card: groceries, rent, gas. I sold some spare parts one had stashed away in the garage. I applied for part-time work, anything with flexible hours. Got turned down 5 times in a week. I barely slept, barely ate. The only time I felt halfway human was late at night, sitting on the concrete floor of the empty garage, staring at the oil-stained outlines of everything I'd lost. I didn't tell anyone the full story. I was too embarrassed. What was I supposed to say? That my girlfriend gutted my life behind my back and walked away like she was the victim? That I let it happen? Because that's what it felt like. That I let it happen. One night, about 3 weeks after everything went down, I got a call from Jake. We'd gone to high school together. Not close friends, but friendly enough. He'd started his own repair shop about 2 years earlier, and I'd run into him at a parts store a few times. We'd traded business cards, swapped stories. He was one of the few people I genuinely respected in this business. "Hey," he said, "I heard through the grapevine something went down. You okay?" I didn't know how to answer that. I mumbled something vague. "I've got a guy on leave," he said. "Need someone who can handle suspension work and engine pulls. You up for it?" I hesitated. "I don't have my tools anymore," I said quietly. "They were stolen." He didn't ask for details, just paused. "Then you'll borrow mine until you get back on your feet," he said. "You still remember how to do the job, right?" That was the first real breath I'd taken in weeks. I showed up the next morning. Jake didn't ask questions. He just handed me a set of gloves and pointed to an old Toyota Corolla that needed a new engine mount. I got to work. For 6 hours, I was just a guy under a car again, doing what I was meant to do. It felt good. Familiar. Solid. I worked there part-time for about a month. Jake didn't say much, but I think he could tell I was still trying to find my footing. He didn't push. Just gave me space and a paycheck. Slowly, I started feeling normal again. Not great. Not good. But functional. Then, one afternoon, he called me into the back room. "I've got something for you," he said. He pulled out a tarp from behind a shelf and uncovered a rusted, dented blue car. My heart stopped. It was the Mustang. Not my Mustang, not exactly, but it was the same model, same year, and the same color. It was in rough shape, but I knew that frame. I knew that engine. I could see the potential in it instantly. "Picked it up at an auction," Jake said. "Figured it could use some love." I just stood there, staring at it. I didn't say a word. "Tell you what," he continued. "You fix it up here, on your own time, and it's yours." My throat tightened. I didn't know what to say. He clapped me on the shoulder. "Don't thank me. Just build it better this time." That night, after everyone left the shop, I stayed behind. I opened the hood, pulled out the rusted plugs, unscrewed the valve covers. My hands were steady again. I could feel my focus returning, one bolt at a time. It wasn't the car my dad and I had worked on. That one was gone forever. But this was mine now. And maybe, just maybe, it was the start of something worth saving. I never reached out to Vanessa. I didn't expect to hear from her again either, until one of my shop videos made its way around local circles. Just a time-lapse of me and Jake swapping out an engine on an old Cutlass, posted on the shop's social page. Nothing fancy. A week later, she texted me from a new number. "Hey, I saw the shop video. Looks like you're doing well. Can we talk?" I ignored it. 2 days later, she showed up in person. I was in the middle of organizing parts inventory when Jake walked in and gave me a look. I followed him to the front office, and there she was, standing just inside the door, arms crossed like she wasn't sure whether to apologize or defend herself. She looked thinner, not in a good way. Tired, like whatever fantasy she chased when she sold off my life hadn't panned out. "I'm not here to fight," she said. I've been thinking about what happened. I wanted to say sorry. For all of it. I didn't say anything." She kept going. "I thought I was doing the right thing at the time. Kyle and my parents made it sound like you'd get over it, that you'd rebuild. But I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have touched your stuff." I nodded once. Not because it fixed anything, it didn't, but because I'd heard enough. "You didn't come here just to apologize," I said. She hesitated. "Things haven't been great. Kyle's in debt. My parents are kind of blaming me for everything now. I guess I just thought maybe we could talk. Start over." "No," I said. "We can't." She didn't argue. She looked at the floor for a few seconds, then turned around and walked out. Didn't say goodbye. Just left. Jake raised an eyebrow at me from the other room. I shook my head, and we got back to work. I never heard from her again. Kyle never paid anyone back. Her parents went quiet too. As far as I know, they're all still pretending none of it ever happened. Me? I stuck around. Kept my head down. Fixed cars. The new Mustang is done. Not perfect, but it's mine start to finish. It sits out front of the shop most days, sun-faded and a little mean-looking. Like it's been through something. Same as me. And that's fine. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button.